Right. I wanted to take a quick moment to talk about building in public, and that is this practice where startups post publicly their progress. They say, "Hey, this is what we're building. Here are the bones. Here's the concept. Here's the customer base. This is what we're doing." And building in public is a really good way to build early traction. It's a really good way to do organic customer discovery because if somebody's searching for something and they see, "Oh, somebody's building a tool about this," I want to get in on this and tell them what I would like to see from this. And a lot of the time, early stage founders spend a bunch of their time chasing down individual customers in specific industries or going around trying to ask customers or business leaders, would you pay for this tool? Would you use this tool? Do you want this? And that's that product market fit conversation that takes a lot of time and effort from early stage founders while you're trying to iterate and get your idea just right to make sure that it will be something appealing to your customer base, to the people you're actually looking to sell to. And one of the biggest advantages of building in public is people see it early. People see the work. People see the process in process or in progress. And it's very similar to what we saw recently to throw in a video game with Larian Studios and Baldur's Gate 3. And so Baldur's Gate 3 and also I believe Hades 2 sold early. So what they did is they went to the market and said, "Hey, we have this product in progress. We're going to sell it before it's done. We're going to go ahead and give you a chance to buy it, get a front row seat to when it releases, and actually try it out and bug test it for us before it's actually complete, before it's done." And now a lot of players, myself included, there are a couple different ways to adopt that, right? And this is true of any product early adopter. Some people pre-order it. They're like, when it's done, give it to me. Other people get it and try it right away. They want to try the beta version. They want to just get in that and get as much of it as they can. Those are your super users. Those are the ones that you want in there as quickly as possible because they're the ones who are actually going to review it, give you feedback, and really help kind of drive your development process. And then finally, there's the group that will just watch that and get really hyped about it. And I've been a part of all three of those groups where I've gotten involved early and done a lot of the feedback, or I've been kind of somebody who did go ahead and pre-order and do that early, or I was somebody who's like, oh, this is really cool that you are soliciting this much feedback. You're willing to be this vulnerable about the process. That's awesome. I've never once had a negative impression of someone doing something in early access, except there is a risk where the early version of your product is something that will have people build impressions about it. So if it's not polished, that's usually okay, but you could drive away some customers because they see it in this early stage and they're like, oh, it looks like someone's messy garage. I don't want anything to do with that. And so there are risks in that too, but it's important to kind of talk about the different options here, right? So there is building in public, there's building in private, some combination of both. And it's very challenging as a startup to kind of fully understand which one you want to do. Now, I think I've already highlighted some of the advantages of building in public. It builds early publicity, it builds early traction. It will actually let you reach customers and have people actually pay for your product before it launches and reach customers you wouldn't have thought of normally. Whereas if you build in private, you do have a lot more security, you have a lot more control. It is your product. You choose how you go to the market, you choose who hears about it first, you choose what message is presented to people, but it dramatically limits your audience and means that it's a ton more work on your part. So again, the advantage of building in public is you could find entire customer bases you'd never considered. You could have people come to you, be like, hey, this is awesome. We really want this. And it could be something you didn't even think about building your product for, but with minor tweaks can be service to them, or it just is service to them right away and can sell them to them right away. But also, there is a chance that your message can get away with you. So, say for example, you put a post on LinkedIn talking about building in public, and it ends up on LinkedIn Lunatics, and then that is what follows you for the rest of your time building. That's an extreme case, but that's the kind of thing that could happen. Somebody makes a YouTube video about your half finished product and just completely destroys it. Somebody puts you on LinkedIn Lunatics, and then that's like the joke emoji, or you become a meme. Um, and that is a gamble, right? These things could happen. But if you're building a product at all, you should be able to handle those kind of moments as well. There are two bigger risks to building in public. Number one is somebody will take your idea. That's very obviously somebody will just take your idea. And this came up, and the reason I'm doing this video, I've just sort of talked up building in public and how powerful it is. But I do want to make sure to highlight that one of the bigger risks of building in public is that as you are talking to funders, as you're talking to VCs, as you're talking to these big groups, there's always the chance, and I heard about this happening last week, that somebody will hear your pitch. They'll ask for details, they'll ask for your monetization model, they'll ask about what you're doing and all the technical details. You'll present your best possible pitch, which is giving away more or less everything about the business. And then they may go ahead and build it themselves. And that's particularly risky with VCs and investors, not because they're uniquely bad people, but because they are, as a group, the people who have potentially infinite resources with all the funding they could possibly need. They already have the tech and leadership talent. They already have the go-to-market experience. They are your toughest competitors potentially. And that's always a gamble you take when you're presenting your product to anyone. Whether you build in public, whether you pitch privately in meeting rooms, it depends. Now, building in public does give you a little bit of extra insurance there. You can say, like, hey, this is what I've been doing. It's very publicly documented. Here's when I started. Here's the whole process. Here's when I had this meeting with them. And then here's when they launched there. If they're violating a patent, that could work in your favor. Chances are they're not. But the thing is, to my mind, if you're building a startup, if you as a founder are building the startup, if this is what you're doing, if this is your dream, this is truly what you want to do, it should be something that on some level only you can run. Where even if three other people get in the market before you, even if there already is somebody in the market before you are confident that you can beat them. Not only that, but you're willing to necessarily fight, but you're scrappy enough that you could say, like, all right, you're my competitor, you're my direct competitor, you're proving the model works, you're proving the product works. Game on, let me show you that I'm the better version of this. And that takes a somewhat unique individual, a rare kind of personality type to do that and do it well and land it. But one of the things here too is that there's never any guarantee that what you're doing is completely secret. There's never any guarantee that what you're doing is completely unique. In fact, usually it's based on multiple things that have been done before, and it could be based on things that are already in the market before as well. Whenever you get into the startup space, whenever you launch something, you have to be willing to compete with other companies. You have to be confident that you can pivot, that you can counter their moves, that you can do something that will make you stand out and succeed where they don't, or succeed side by side. There's always room for more than one company doing the same things. But that's a big part of this conversation and the give and take. There is a risk benefit to both. And being able to completely control the messaging and really control the launch is a very powerful tool. Being able to have complete creative control, being able to really present yourself in the way you want to present is a very powerful approach. There's an admirable approach. That takes confidence, that takes pride. That also is a much slower way to launch. So it's going to work best if it's a boutique product, if your customers are really high end, so only a couple adopters will give you all the funding you need to keep going. Or if it's something that's very easy to sell to investors and you expect to get profit quickly. Those are the cases where building in private makes the most sense. If it's something that relies on a broad user base, if it requires broad adoption, if it will sink or swim based on the volume of people using it, there are many more advantages to building in public than there are to building in private. But again, also risks. And this is more or less just me thinking out loud on this subject based on several conversations I've had this week and what I've seen from some other companies out there. Shout out, as always, to Throxy, company that's all over LinkedIn. And that's the company that first introduced me to the whole concept of building in public as a term. And then also shout out to just everybody who is toiling away in the dark, building in secret, and everyone who is putting themselves out of their comfort zone to build in public in this very dramatic public way. Both take tremendous courage, tremendous grit, and anybody out there doing either one of those deserves a lot of credit. So cheers. If you have any questions, I would love to talk about this. I'd love to hear about your journey. Let me know what you're doing, if building in public is the way you went, if building in private is the way you went, if you've done both at different times, or however this kind of question affected you. I would love to hear about it. That's it. Till next time. Cheers.